becoming Orthodox made me think more. I considered myself a Christian, from the time I was a child. But I felt like now this being Orthodox is truly a way of life. I remember it was Pascha season, but I don't remember the exact, if it was the Easter service, 2021, the day service that Sunday. And Katie had invited me to come. Hadn't been in church since my son had passed. And I just really felt a yearning to come, and I wanted to come and be with my boys. So I came, and it was so beautiful and so joyful. I mean, just the joy on everyone's face just lifted me inside, lifted my heart. And just seeing all the little children, I just remember how beautiful it was. The music, I love music, so that really touched my heart too. So that was the first service I came to. It's so different. As Protestants, we celebrated that one day. You celebrated Easter, Christ's resurrection, and you celebrated Christmas, Christ's birth. There was not a leading up to it. The learning and the beauty of leading up to that day by day, week by week, the anticipation. I tried to read to understand more, but it was just the building up week by week. And I remember the evening that we carried the beer. I remember how meaningful that was to think. It really made me think so much more about Christ's sacrifice for us, what he actually did for us. That what he went through and died for us, and to carry that beer, to think about that was just a beautiful part of the service. And then when we celebrated his resurrection, what that meant. Becoming Orthodox made me think more. I considered myself a Christian, from the time I was a child. But I felt like now this being Orthodox is truly a way of life. It's every day. Every day is something new, a new adventure. I'd never fasted before. Didn't even know how to fast or what it meant to fast. And to learn about that was something new, and it was a beautiful thing. Yes, it's hard. I think it's hard. But once you've passed those first few weeks and really understood more about it's not just about the giving up of things. It's about what you gain. It's about more prayer, more time with God, becoming more and more as God wants us to be. Getting rid of the things inside of us, becoming more Christ-like, is that a good way to put it? Try to become more and more that way, and to have that more closeness with God. To get rid of the passions, I believe is the way that we might say it. And I've understood that it went from being hard to being something that we should find joy in. The biggest challenge for me, we never talked about Mary. We never talked about the saints. We just didn't. It wasn't part. The only time we talked about Mary was maybe at the Nativity, as a Protestant. And I think that was probably the hardest thing for me, to gain that understanding, and I'm still gaining it. It's still something, that I have a struggle with somewhat, about the Theotokos and the meaning and how we can talk to her, It's something I'd never heard of before. And so understanding that, because, so many people would say, well, you worship Mary, but that's not it. That's not it. She's our mother. She's our friend. And she's there to help us. And I think she's been a real help to me with the grief that I've suffered in the past. I think she understands grief, as maybe some people can't. She understands my grief. She suffered the loss of a child too. Different situation totally, but yet the loss of a child is the loss of a child. She knows that kind of grief. And I think about how, it talked about a sword, that pierced her heart. I know that pain. And how she comforted me, in that I knew she understood that sharp pain of grief, and that was such a comfort. It gave me a different perspective of Mary as my mother. I lost my mother, so when I lost my father, I felt like an orphan, if that makes sense. Even as an adult, I felt like an orphan. But then to learn that Mary is our mother. I have a mother. I'm not an orphan any longer. And she is someone that I can go to, just as I would my birth mother. I would have went to her and talked to her and asked her questions. I'm sure she, if she would have been living when I went through this grief, to think about the things that she could have comforted me with. And now, for years I didn't understand that I still had a mother. And I think that's what a beautiful thing is. My mother, my birth mother's name was Mary also. And to me, that's just a beautiful thing, a beauty. And so I feel like I have that mother to go to. And I have a father, so I'm not an orphan. Oh, I think the thing that really stands out in a way for me in my Orthodox journey is, as I said, I was raised as a Protestant, but there was something missing inside of me. There was a yearning for more and more of God. And I think I found a book, and we have it here. It's called Yearning for God in a Land of Shallow Wells, Thirsting for God in a Land of Shallow Wells. And I think that's kind of the story of a lot of people that are Protestant that come to the Orthodox Church. They've tried different other religions, and there's truth in those. There's hope in those, but there's still something that you're yearning for. There's that thirst inside of you for more of God, more of truth. And so that yearning in me and God leading me brought me home. And so I'm thirsty no longer. Please come to not be afraid, that everyone here is so loving, and that I think that here in this family, in this faith, this is a walk of life. It's a path, and we're all going down it together. And you won't be alone to come and join our family, and we'll walk that path with you. You won't be alone anymore. That you have lots of brothers and sisters here to comfort you and help you along the way. And I think so many times, we fall along this path. It's not an easy path. But when you have this many brothers and sisters with you, there's always someone to reach down the hand and lift you up, help lift you up. And we walk this journey together. And that someday we'll all be together. Just think about that. You don't have to be born Orthodox to become Orthodox. It's a way of life. It's a way of love. And I think that the doors are open to all of us. And I don't think that I ever knew that or would have realized that if I wouldn't have had, my daughter here. That for her to say, come, see what we're all about. You know, that there's lots of love here, and there's lots of people to help you and to care for you and to help you along this path. And to not be afraid, to not feel like it's something totally different, that you wouldn't understand it. You know, I think that was my fear. It took me a while, you know, to kind of, you know, when you go from being Protestant to the way our services are, but I have come to realize the whole service is worshiping God. We're worshiping God together the whole service. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So to anyone who's considering being Orthodox, come to a service, see what we're about, see the beauty of it, see how much we love God here, and talk, ask questions, talk to Father. He was such a help to me in helping to help me understand, you know, all these questions. He loves to answer questions. He loves to answer questions. So, you know, just come, and not to be afraid. So come.